In this session, we will be taking a look at users. Users is found on the left side of the screen toward the bottom. And users will be any employee that will be using club systems, whether they're going to be using the system as far as inputting new members and editing accounts, point of sale, or even if the employee will simply be using the system to clock in and out every day and use the check-in screen to check in members. They will have to be inputted as a user of the software. To input a new employee, we would click on New User on the right side. Our first field is asking for user ID, so we would type in what the employee will be using as their user ID. The maximum number of characters that can be used is 8. You can use letters, you can also use numbers or a combination of both. The system will not allow for any punctuation marks or spaces in this field. Next, we would type in the employee name. Then we would type in what is going to be used as the employee password. This too will have a maximum of 8 characters. Any numbers or letters can be used. We can just not use any spaces or punctuation marks in this field. And then we would retype the password to confirm. Employee email address would go next. Where it says site availability, this will automatically be defaulted for all sites unless you have multiple locations and you wanted to specify which location this particular employee works at. You would be able to specify that at this time. Address and phone number for the employee is optional, and there is a section to type in an employee bio if you wish to do so. That is optional. On the right side under permissions, we have itemized permissions, and you would simply go through these one by one and set them either to yes or no depending on this employee's job requirements, what you would like them to have access to and not access to. We would set the yeses and nos accordingly in this area. As we scroll down further on the screen, we now come to a commission schedule. If you do pay out commission to your employees for different items, we do have a few settings here that you can utilize. The first field is called sign-up fees. So this would be a percentage of commission to be paid out to the employee based on the sign-up fees that were paid by the new customer. Reoccurring monthly dues. This would be a percentage of commission to be paid out to the employee for the reoccurring monthly dues that come out for the new member. POS complementary items or point of sale complementary items. If an employee quote unquote sells an item from point of sale but it's complementary, meaning it's being basically given to the person at no cost, would you be paying out a percentage of commission to your employee for that specific item? And you can specify that here if that is something that you were needing to use for complementary items. The next area is a commission table, and it's broken up into 3 sections: point of sale retail items, point of sale service items, and point of sale miscellaneous items. In your inventory, you are able to categorize your items into different categories, and they are these 3 categories of being either a retail item, service item, or miscellaneous item. In these sections, you would set up dollar tiers and then a percentage of commission to be paid for sales made within each specific tier. Going down a little bit further, we have Series Commission Rate 1 and Series Commission Rate 2. This ties in with the inventory setup. If you go into our inventory training session, we do discuss there how for your inventory items, if it is a series item, which is an item containing a specific session count or a visit count, where under that inventory item you are able to set it as being either a Rate 1 commission or a Rate 2 commission. Here's where you can specifically set the percentage for Rate 1 or Rate 2 for this specific employee. And these percentages can differ from employee to employee if a higher commission is paid to certain employees because of seniority or higher ranking. Class commission is next. In club systems, you are able to set up a class schedule, and when you're setting up your classes, it does specify on the class setup whether or not any sort of commission is to be paid for conducting those classes. So had this been a class instructor, you would be able to specify here, yes, if they are to receive that commission that would be set up for the class, or no, they are not to receive any commission for the classes that they conduct. The last table setup that we see here is for drafting of additional services. Through Club Systems, you are able to set up additional services to draft out monthly for your members. And this again is setting up a dollar tier and specifying a specific percentage to be paid out for amounts within each specific tier. So you would just put in a dollar rate. For example, $1 to say $100 would be a specific percentage, and maybe $101 to $300 was this percentage, and so on and so forth. Finally, at the very bottom, there is a little icon off to the right of the Word department, and it looks like a little clipboard. If you go ahead and click on that icon, it will drop down all of your sales departments for you, and this all ties into how the inventory is being set up in your system. When you're inputting your new inventory items into the program, it does allow you to specify or categorize your items into different sales departments. So this would simply allow you to notate a percentage of commission to be paid for sales made within each one of your sales departments for this particular employee. Finally, our last section in this area is called Payroll Info, and this is completely optional. Club Systems will not configure payroll in any sort of a report, but what it will do is calculate hours worked based on clock in and out times. So this is completely optional if you wish to input what the employee gets paid. This particular area is a protected area in the sense that the first permission that we have is to enter and edit users. And if your employees have that set to no, they will not be able to access this particular area of users and review each other's information. Only those employees that have the permission set to yes to enter and edit users will be able to access this information. Once we have set up all the details for this first employee, we would go ahead and click Save at the bottom, and they will become a user of the software, and you would then be able to see their name on this list of employees. In the future, if you're needing to modify the employee in any way, whether it's changing their permissions or needing to change their user password, you would simply locate their name on the list and click on their name, and then click where it says Modify User on the right side. All of their original settings would show for you here, and you would be able to update any field that's open under the User Information section. You can certainly update any of the permissions if any of these need to be changed, and we just make sure to always click Save at the bottom. We also have a user timesheet. If management or owners are needing to update somebody's timesheet because maybe they forgot to clock in or forgot to clock out on a particular day, you would be able to access the employee's timesheet by clicking on their name and then clicking User Timesheet. Here you would just input the date range of the clock in and out times that you would like to view, and then click Go on the right. At this time, all of their clock in and out times would show for you in the center portion, and you would be able to modify, such as adding a time in or a time out, as we can see down here. You also will have the ability to delete times out. Once we've made any adjustment that needs to be made in this area, we would just click where it says Update at the bottom. There's also an icon labeled Production Goals, where you can set certain production goals that you would like to see your employees meet. You would simply just locate their name on the list and click on their name, and then click toward the bottom right where it says Production Goals. We have this section broken up into different areas, such as goals to be met for membership sales, prospects entered, series sold, and point of sale transactions. There is a report that you can generate through our Wizard section under Employee Reports, where you can definitely pull up a report to show an employee's productivity or production. If you've made any adjustments here, you would click Next, and that would save it for that particular employee. You also have an icon to delete a user. If you're wanting to remove someone from your list of users, especially if they're no longer working for you, you would simply locate their name on the list and click Delete User. That will immediately stop their access from being able to log into the Club Systems program. Our next icon is called Change User. Change User is a shortcut where you can go in and change from one user to another. For example, if just a general employee is logged in at this time and maybe a member of management or the owners needing to come in and do something in the system really quick and have access to their permissions, they can click on Change User and simply type in their employee ID and password and click Next, and they're now logged in as themselves. User Schedule is next. This is where you can set an employee's work schedule. You would click on their name on the list and then click where it says User Schedule on the right. This is useful if you do plan on using our built-in appointment page under scheduling in the system, because here you can specify hours that a particular employee will be available and not be available, and that will tie into the scheduling page, making sure that only the time slots for when they will be working will be available to make an appointment for, and any gaps in between, whether it's a lunch break or they're only going to be in for maybe part of the day, anything else that is unavailable will be grayed out on the appointment page, and we will not be able to make appointments for that employee during those times. So if we would like to set a work schedule for a particular employee, we would come into this area and set our dates accordingly for the week that we're making the schedule for. And then we have our days of the week in the center here. If you are wanting to create gaps of time, for example, if somebody has a lunch break every day, you would simply go into that day and put in the start time and then the stop time, reflecting the first block of time that they will be working, and then click Save at the bottom. And then you would basically go back into that same day and create the second block of time for when they're coming back from lunch as their start to their stop time, which would be the last hour that they would be working, and saving that, creating a second block of time for that same exact day, and leaving that gap in the middle. And that again will tie into the scheduling page, leaving those gaps grayed out where we cannot make an appointment for the employee during those times. Once we've made our adjustments to the schedule, you would just hit Save at the bottom, and of course that will be saved for that particular employee. Our next icon is called Club Connect. Club Connect is kind of like a built-in memoing system where you can send general messages and reminders to your employees or to different departments. Clicking on Club Connect, you can type in an inquiry at the top or a message, specify whether or not a response is required in the second section here, and then designate who this particular message is for, whether it's all employees or a particular employee or for a particular department at the facility, and then you can send this message off. And again, this is recommended to be used for general inquiries, reminders, things of that nature, not for specific or personal information, being that this report can be obtained from all of the employees. To obtain the report, we then go to Club Connect Report at the bottom. Here we can specify the date range of notes that we want to see that were entered, and then we can run the report, and at that time it would generate a list of all notes made during that time period. That is an optional area that you're free to use if you would like to do so. Next, we will take a look at the time clock area for employees to clock in and out every day, and that is found on the bottom left of our screen. Clicking on time clock, the employee would first type in their employee ID, and then they would type in their employee password. They would next either click clock in or clock out, depending on what they're needing to do at that time. That concludes our review on the user section. Thank you so much.